to do it.
I was failing because I was thinking of nothing but her. Or I'd go home, take out my radio and put on some love songs and sit there and think about what ways could I get her to talk to me. But I could never get her to do it.
No one seemed to see how serious David's obsession had become. One evening, 3 weeks before the murder, David went to Norma's house, determined to get her to go out with him. Norma was home alone and didn't answer the doorbell. David suspected that she was inside and began circling the house, pounding on all the doors and windows. Inside, Norma was terrified and called her sister at work, saying that a burglar was trying to break into the house. David pounded relentlessly for an hour. When Norma's father arrived home, he found David sitting quietly on the front porch. Norma seemed relieved to learn that the prowler was just David Mancuso and not a burglar. She simply asked her parents to send David home.
And of course, I would say, well, Norma, you know, your father and I have offered to talk with David at any time and do whatever is necessary. But with Norma being as she was, she said, I can handle it. I don't see any need to try to humiliate him. He already goes through enough of that at school. And so then we have to, you know, we have to think now, well, should we have done something then? But if we had gone against her wishes and this had happened, I do not think I could have lived with that. If we had approached David without her at last giving her consent, that would have been very hard to live with.
I think what happened is she finally got tired of it and finally told him, look, I want to be left alone. I want to date other guys. I'm not interested in you romantically. And she finally decided to tell him. And I think by her telling him, he just became angry.
The night before the murder, David went into his room and recorded a tape confessing to the crime he felt would end this overwhelming obsession.
I, David Mancuso, did willfully and joyfully murder and kill Norma Russell. She turned me down. She didn't like me, she says. She didn't say it, but I could see in the face and in the eyes that the girl who once liked me an awful lot now didn't like me at all. Not only did she like me, but she led me on. It's over for your kind, baby. I'm going to go and find women like you everywhere, and I'm going to kill them. So all the people like me don't have to worry about women like you.
The next day, David went to school with his father's .22 caliber revolver in his book bag. He also took his taped confession and a list of things to accomplish that day. Call home, go to McDonald's, go to the video game room, go back to Northern High, kill Norma, go home. When Norma finished her cheerleader practice, she found David waiting in the parking lot.
I was laying in my truck, and I kept saying, this is crazy. But then I'd say, well, this is something I've got to do. Because if she doesn't die, then I'm really going to go crazy. She came out to her car. I met her. We talked for a few minutes. I opened the car door for her. Then she said she had to go because she had to work on a English assignment. I just had the gun in my hand. I stood up, pointed it down at her, and pulled the trigger. She grabbed it. She said, "No, David, no. No, David." And we struggled with the gun for a couple minutes. I got it away from her. Then I stood up. When I pointed it back down at her, I lost all feeling in my arms. And I didn't see, everything was real hazy. The round about the corners of my vision, it was all white. And all I could see was just her screaming. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't feel my arms. And then she gave out a groan and slid back in her seat and fell back with her eyes open. And that's when I came back. I could hear things again. I could feel my arms. I could feel the gun in my hands. I turned around and got in my truck, glanced in the side view mirror, and I saw her just laying there. I just cranked up the motor and just sped out of the parking lot.
A gym coach on the football field heard the shots and raced to Norma's car, but there was nothing he could do. 17-year-old Norma Russell died in the parking lot of Northern High.
At Northern High School, the flag flew at half-staff. Students and faculty who came to school this day came not for academics, but for emotional support.
For all the students to be together today, I think that'll help us get through it a little bit better.
This was Norma Russell's senior year at Northern High School. She already had her graduation picture taken and would have graduated in June.
Some people just had tears, and some people it just hadn't hit yet, and more or less were in a daze. I was mostly in a daze all day. It hasn't really hit me yet.
Durham psychologist Dr. Betsy Fipes counseled more than 40 students today, many of them members of Norma's cheerleading squad. Like many of these students, they felt a need to talk about what happened.
The next day after Norma was killed, the whole school, it was quiet. Everyone was depressed. And somebody put a note on her locker that said, "We miss you, Norma."
The day of the shooting, my mom picked me up from school, and we were in the van, and I said something about how David had been depressed lately. And she said, well, I don't know. I think it's just a stage that he's going through, and he'll come out of it. And I said, well, I'm not too sure. It seems to be a pretty permanent thing, you know, something that's happening all the time. And she goes, no, I don't think so. And so we went on home, and then the police came to the door and told us.
When the police stopped David just 12 hours after the murder, they found the murder weapon and the taped confession in his truck. At the trial, David's defense attorneys pled insanity, while the prosecution insisted that this was a calculated murder. Both sides played David's tape as evidence supporting their position.
God, how I love her. I always love her. But I can't stand the thought of her being with someone else besides me. So that's why I did what I did. I killed Norma Russell, and I'm happy about it.
After 2.5 days of deliberation, the jury found David guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced him to life plus 3 years in prison. Today, he is in the Youth Correctional Facility in Morganton, North Carolina, and is not pursuing any further appeals. But even with David's guilt confirmed, the question remains, what made this boy grow up to be an obsessed killer? Psychiatrists for David's defense found motivating circumstances. When David was born, the Mancusos had one child, 4-year-old Lynn. She and David became very close. Then, when David was just 1.5 years old, his entire family was in a near-fatal car accident. Only David escaped unhurt. His father was hospitalized for nearly a year, and his pregnant mother was badly injured. While his family recovered, David was placed in several different foster homes. When the family was finally reunited over a year later, David's sister was crippled and brain damaged, and his place as the youngest in the family had been taken by a new baby brother.
It's like nature played such a bad trick on him. From the time his parents were in a car accident and were away from him, I mean, what effect does that have on a small child? A family that has gone through so much trauma from the car accident and everything that how do they respond to the child? Are they kind of flat in the way they react? And emotions aren't talked about because it's just too severe.
the trauma of living with a sister who is severely disfigured and having grown up with her. All of this put together, then David going to school, kids picking on him, him feeling that he's an outsider. He wasn't an attractive boy. He loves these beautiful girls. They won't have anything to do with him, or he's kind of a joke. And so he withdrew more and more into his fantasy life. He had no other way to cope, and he began to have the delusions of having power over this young girl.
I really felt like I could do anything, because nobody seemed to care what I did. And I just wanted her dead. There wouldn't be any pressures on me anymore. I wouldn't be thinking about her all the time, because she would be gone. And I would just be able to go on with my life.
The painful truth is that no one saw how troubled David was. Bits of information about his obsession with Norma, as well as his increasing depression and withdrawal, were observed by various people, but no one in David's life could put all the clues together until after the murder. Now, the lives of David's family, Norma's family, and the students at Northern High School have been tragically altered by the violent death of an innocent girl.
When the trial was over and David got second degree, and of course we felt like that it should have been first degree death penalty. We really did. And I remember my husband saying the verdict came in second degree after a long period of time, and he said Norma wouldn't have had it any other way.
I just want to sometimes just crawl up in a corner and do nothing but cry. Just cry for the fact that she's dead, the fact that I'm the one who's done it, the fact that a lot of lives have been changed because of this, because that she's dead. And I hate myself. I haven't found the courage to forgive myself for what has happened.
He's down right here. What a cat.
Violence is spreading by the ton. People breaking the law and now they're on the run. Addiction comes when you first put your mouth on the pipe. You'll be robbing your neighbors and breaking your wife. Drunk drivers getting drunk and turning the key. I wonder whose death this is going to be. The world is jam-packed with criminal minds, the retarded, the normal, the deaf, the blind. News broadcasters all over town. Meanwhile, arsonists are burning buildings down. There's prejudiced teachers, junkies for nurses, kids on the corners, snatching ladies' purses. If you look down the street, somebody broke